Fans of old-school PlayStation 1 era games were stoked when it was announced that the original Spyro The Dragon trilogy would be remade for a new audience. Despite that, there are a bunch of things you may not know about Spyro Reignited Trilogy, and we're going to tell you about some of them. Before we begin, subscribe to TheGamer and ring that bell to join our notification squad so you never miss a video. Without further ado, here are some things you need to know about Spyro Reignited Trilogy. New graphics. We all remember our school holidays being ridiculously long, never-ending swathes of summer. Now that we're all a bit older, it feels like kids and their teachers barely get any time off whatsoever. The movies and music, which we loved, now seem a bit cheesy. Things which seemed huge now seem absolutely tiny, and things which were very impressive then now look like outdated relics of an outmoded era. The first time we played Spyro the Dragon on the old PlayStation 1, we were left with our jaws on the floor, absolutely blown away with the graphics. We couldn't believe gaming technology had advanced so far. It was like our own little private cartoon universe that we could control and explore ourselves. Anyway, the point is this. While the way the original Spyro games played hasn't dated at all, there's no question the graphics have. In order to get younger gamers who aren't affected by nostalgia into our favorite dragon, Toys for Bob have rebooted the way games look. No longer are they all harsh lines, but now they're all lovely curves and subtle details. The color palette has expanded too, with more of a range of textures and shades, meaning modern gamers get more of a whole world experience. This is great, because people who want to blast from the past will find things they loved about the originals in the game, while a whole new generation won't be put off by an old-fashioned look. It really is the best of both worlds. No new levels. If you played Spyro the Dragon, Spyro 2 Ripto's Rage, and Spyro Year of the Dragon back in the late 90s and early 2000s on your PS1, then chances are you played them a lot. While the Spyro Reignited Trilogy looks set to be an absolute blast of fresh, if not a little hot air for the generation of gamers who came after the first of Sony's flagship consoles, we wondered whether there was anything which could appeal to older gamers who might be looking for something new from our little purple dragon. Well, we have some bad news for you. Okay, it's more like sort of bad news. The Spyro Reignited Trilogy won't feature any new levels at all, not even for download. No, you're just going to have to put up with everything from the original 3 games, only with fresh graphics and a whole new sound. Now, this might seem to be a bad thing, but only if you want an absolutely new Spyro the Dragon experience. If you want that, then we're sorry to say it's going to be a disappointment. The only thing is, it's not really going to be a disappointment at all. You see, the original Spyro games are the sort of things which falls into the category of lost classics, while the likes of Grand Theft Auto, Tomb Raider, and even Parappa the Rappa all pushed on from their original platform and got more fans, poor old Spyro stalled. Yes, there was the Legend of Spyro trilogy, which took him to the PlayStation 2, and depending on which of the 3 games you're talking about, the Nintendo GameCube, the Wii, the Xbox 360, and the PS3 as well, but it wasn't the same. There was nothing wrong with these games as such, it was just that they couldn't really compete with the brilliance of the originals, so they ended up feeling like a letdown. Now though, they can right their wrongs. No more will people go, what the heck is a Spyro the Dragon, and what does it have to do with me? New sounds, same play. When you're remaking something which holds a special place in a lot of gamers' hearts, you have to do it right. You can't just shove the branding on there and hope people don't see through it. You have to keep true to what made the thing such a big deal for so many people and work from there. With the original Spyro the Dragon trilogy, people dug the cute imagery and the smart soundtrack. More than those though, they loved the way the game played. When it was announced that Spyro Reignited Trilogy was happening, the biggest challenge the game's developers faced was keeping the gameplay and changing the way things looked and sounded. One thing we think is pretty interesting about the Spyro Reignited Trilogy is a subtle but important difference to the original set of games. While the original games were pretty much 3 separate entities, the Spyro Reignited Trilogy is more like one game with 3 different parts. In the grand scheme of things, it isn't a huge change, but it's kinda important, at least when the game's soundtrack comes in. The original dialogue has been re-recorded. this is partially to do with the new animations and cutscenes. If nothing else, there'll be better lip syncing, but also another crucial difference. If the Reignited Trilogy wants to flow seamlessly from one part to another, there's got to be no sudden recastings. We've seen this happen in TV shows, and at best, it's absolutely weird at first. With the original Spyro the Dragon game, the title character's voice was played by Carlos Alazraqui, who you might remember as the voice of the Taco Bell Chihuahua, as well as from his work in the likes of Family Guy, Phineas and Ferb, and The Fairly Odd Parents. However, between the first game and its sequel, Spyro 2 Ripto's Rage, the dragon was recast with Tom Kenny, better known as the voice of SpongeBob SquarePants, taking over. In order to make everything go together, Tom redid Carlos' lines. The voice isn't the only sonic tweak from the original though. The music, written by Stuart Copeland of The Police, has been remixed and remastered, although you can play with the original if you want. Talking of playing with the original, the game's designers did something totally excellent, which we want to tell you about. They used some computing tools to figure out the exact distances between places on the game's map, as well as how many steps Spyro would take in the levels. This meant the parts of Spyro Reignited Trilogy should play exactly the same as the originals. This is great news for gamers who played back in the day, and it's generally a cool feature. It took its time. While there have been many games which have been largely unplayable when they're rush released, things where the developers have taken their time generally feel a lot smoother and sharper. This will definitely be true of the Spyro Reignited Trilogy. Toys for Bob could easily have been lazy and thrown together anything. Doing so would have made the game really bad and could have potentially ruined Spyro for both younger and older gamers. They could have done that, and the game would have been out much quicker, but luckily they didn't. They took their time. In fact, they took rather a lot of time. You see, there was speculation that what we now know as the Spyro Reignited Trilogy was going to be a thing all the way back in 2014. The boss of Insomniac, Ted Price, hinted as much then, while in 2017, following the success of the rebooted Crash Bandicoot, Vicarious Visions said if people wanted an overhauled Spyro, they should just keep asking. This is why, when Spyro Reignited Trilogy was announced earlier in 2018, it was a cause for celebration, if not the world of gaming's biggest surprise. We figured the developers were working on something. They told us the game would be out in September 2018, and we were excited. But because of the amount of love and care they wanted to put into bringing Spyro to a modern audience, they delayed it until November 2018. It was a bit of a disappointment and rather frustrating, but it really didn't matter to us. What matters is having a beautiful game, which takes us back to where we were as gamers and moves us onward to where we could be. We think you'll agree that is truly something well worth waiting for. There will be downloads. It's the way of modern video games. With the internet, nothing is ever quite 100% finished. Things are being updated and fixed all the damn time. It didn't used to be like this. You used to have a game released on a set date and you'd go to your local game shop to buy the game, which was usually on a cartridge unless you were a PC gamer, take it home and play it. Chances were that you'd have the game finished to the standards the designers intended. However, if there were any glitches, you'd be stuck with them. On the other hand, some of the glitches were pretty cool. Remember the Minus World in Super Mario Bros? Nowadays though, things like that would be fixed pretty much as soon as people notice them. On one hand, this is good because we're all looking for a flawless gaming experience. On the other hand, this is bad because there's nothing more frustrating than getting a new game and realizing you have to download another 10 gigabyte patch on top of the 50 gigabyte game. Annoyingly, this is going to be true with Spyro Reignited Trilogy. Even though the game's release was delayed by a couple of months, the powers that be at Toys for Bob still say there's going to have to be a day one patch. This is super annoying, both for all the die-hard Spyro fans who are eager to see what the games look like on the latest technology, but also on the newcomers who are curious as to what all the fuss is about. Talking of downloads, there's some pretty cool news. Now, as we all know, the game is coming out on a disc. However, the disc will only include the first game of the trilogy, Spyro the Dragon. If you want to really get your money's worth and play Spyro 2 Ripto's Rage and Spyro Year of the Dragon, then you're going to have to go back online and download them. Don't worry, they're free with the disc. We think this is a pretty cool idea for a couple of reasons. Firstly, while the game will get the buzz generated from being in shops, you won't have to worry about having too many discs cluttering up your home. Secondly, with the other two parts of the trilogy being downloadable, theoretically, there shouldn't be too much need for massive updates. There you have it. What's your favorite thing about Spyro Reignited Trilogy? Did we leave any good ones out? Let us know in the comments section below, and don't forget to subscribe to The Gamer for more videos like this one. Thanks for watching.